Hello, this is Nightline and I'm Muhammed Hamdan, and here are the top stories. Israeli forces intercept another humanitarian aid flotilla to Gaza. 9 Malaysians among 145 detained. And PM vows to find alternative routes for Sumut Nusantara to help Palestine. Good morning. We begin with this headlining story. All 9 Malaysian aid volunteers detained by Israeli forces are currently en route to the port of Ashdod in Israel and are expected to arrive on Wednesday around midnight Malaysian time. They were among 145 activists aboard a 9-vessel flotilla intercepted by the Israeli Navy earlier in the day during the Freedom Flotilla Coalition and 1,000 Medlins to Gaza humanitarian mission. This marks the second such detention since Thursday. The mission's flagship vessel, the Conscience, was intercepted by Israeli forces using helicopters off the coast of Gaza. Humanitarian Care Malaysia, My Care Chairman Datuk Seri Dr. Kamal Nasharuddin Mustafa said contact with the volunteers was lost at 10:03 a.m.
Kapal pertama Sunbird di bawah 1,000 Medlin to Gaza TMTG telah ditangkap dalam lingkungan titik 120 batu nautika, diikuti 8 buah kapal yang lain termasuk Conscience. Kapal terakhir yang dipintas ialah Saad.
8 Malaysian volunteers were on board the Conscience at the time of the incident, including the delegation leader, Professor Emeritus Dr. Muhammad Alauddin, medical doctors Fauzia Muhammad Hassan, Hafiz Sulaiman and Ili Shakira Muhammad Suhaimi, as well as lecturers Professor Dr. Muhammad Afandi Saleh and Dr. Nur Hashimah Ismail. Also on board were My Care trustee Norsham Abu Bakar and journalist Shafiq Shukri Abdul Jalil. Another medical doctor, Maziah Muhammad, was on the Saad. All those detained were part of the third wave of the humanitarian flotilla, which departed in stages, heading towards Gaza. Earlier, the 9 Malaysian volunteers aboard the Conscience and Saad managed to send out an SOS message before the vessels were intercepted by Israeli forces.
We are 8 citizens from Malaysia aboard the Conscience. If you are seeing this video, we have been attacked at sea and kidnapped by the Israeli occupation forces or forces of a country complicit in Israel's genocide of Palestinians. We appeal to all our comrades, friends and family to request the Malaysian government to demand our release as soon as possible.
The video shared by My Care was also accompanied by a message urging the international community to raise awareness of the detentions and to apply global pressure on Israel.
This mission is purely...
Meanwhile, Shamil Muhammad Alauddin, son of the Malaysian delegation leader, and his wife, Dr. Fauzia, who were both aboard the Conscience vessel, voiced serious concern for his parents' safety, especially for his mother, who was also detained by Israeli forces 9 years ago while taking part in a humanitarian mission to Gaza. Shamil said he realized something was wrong when he noticed via a tracking app that the vessel carrying his parents had stopped moving. His family had anticipated the possibility of the ship being intercepted, but did not expect it to occur early Wednesday morning.
Kita tak tahu bagaimana layanan kali ini, terutamanya sebab mak saya pernah ditangkap dan masuk penjara sebelum ni, dan mungkin dia boleh tahu ni kali kedua mungkin dia akan lebih agresif lah terhadapnya. Kita cuma boleh mendoakanlah untuk keselamatan.
In the meantime, the government has once again turned to high-level diplomacy in efforts to secure the release of the Malaysian activists, similar to the case involving volunteers from the global Sumut Flotilla. Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan, when contacted, said the Prime Minister has reached out to Turkey's top leadership to push forward the effort.
Kita menggunakan berbagai cara, banyak channel melalui Turki, because Turki pun ada rakyatnya dalam yang grup yang baru ni. Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri pun dengannya telah pun menghubungi kepimpinan tertinggi di Turki. Dan kita juga minta negara-negara ASEAN yang ada dia punya mission di Tel Aviv untuk bantu apa jua yang boleh dapat.
Anwar, meanwhile, has strongly condemned the continued provocative actions of the Israeli military, describing them as clear violations of international law. He stressed that Malaysia would engage with partner nations and international organizations to facilitate the immediate release of the 9 detained Malaysian activists. In a Facebook post, Anwar said the detention of a humanitarian vessel carrying aid for the people of Gaza was inhumane and a blatant violation of fundamental human rights and universal human dignity. He also demanded the immediate release of all Malaysian activists and volunteers and that they be accorded due protection and remain unharmed while in custody. Anwar assured that the Madani government would do everything possible to safeguard the lives of all Malaysians involved in the humanitarian mission. And later at night, Anwar said he's set to meet with several non-governmental organization leaders next Tuesday to discuss detailed strategies for the second wave of humanitarian aid deliveries to Gaza, Palestine, via land routes through Egypt. The Prime Minister emphasized that the government fully backs any initiative that promotes the liberation of Palestine and seeks to lift the blockade at the Rafah crossing.
Jadi minggu depan selesai belanjawan, Isnin Selasa saya akan panggil dengan kawan-kawan bincang dengan Sani, Nadir dan kawan-kawan wakil macam mana strategi nak sampai ke Mesir, pecah tembok Rafah. Takbir! Takbir! Dan kalau boleh minggu depan setelah berunding dengan mereka, saya akan hubungi Presiden Abdul Fattah Sisi, Presiden Mesir.
Anwar, who is also the patron of Sumut Nusantara, said this in his speech at the Solidarity with Gaza rally at Axiata Arena, Bukit Jalil on Wednesday night, which was attended by thousands of Malaysians from all walks of life. He also revealed that Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has confirmed to him that Turkey will assist the 9 Malaysian activists currently detained by Israeli forces. Also present at the event were members of the Malaysian delegation who joined the global Sumut Flotilla GSF humanitarian mission to Gaza. The gathering was organized to celebrate the return of the Malaysian volunteers on Tuesday night following their release from Israeli detention. He also said the rally was to further strengthen Malaysian solidarity with Palestine. And during the rally, preacher Rahmat Ihsan Muhammad Sofyan, better known as PU Rahmat, recounted his experience being detained by Israeli forces, describing the anger they displayed upon seeing his Malaysian passport.
Dan perkataan ini selalu IOF sebut bila mereka nampak satu benda yang tuan-tuan puan-puan juga ada, yang hari ini kalau kita sambung, perkataan itu keluar, perkataan caci maki bila mereka nampak pasport Malaysia. Tahu kenapa mereka benci dengan pasport Malaysia? Tahu kenapa? Sejak 1957 dan sebelum daripada itu, bapa kemerdekaan kita dan pemimpin-pemimpin sebelum mengekalkan satu dasar, pasport inilah satu-satunya dengan berani menulis, pasport ini sah digunakan kecuali negara Israel. Bila
majlis untuk meraihkan kalian semua rakyat Malaysia yang...
Another volunteer, Nur Farahin Romli, also known as Farah Lee, also shared her experience of being detained. She said they had protested after being denied drinking water and refused to return to their cell. Their protest lasted between 30 minutes and an hour until the Israeli army captain warned that force would be used if the detainees did not return voluntarily.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi
Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has stressed that the 2026 Madani budget is more than a mere financial plan for the year ahead. He said the budget embodies the government's core priorities and the country's strategic direction moving forward. As Finance Minister, Anwar shared that he had held a briefing session with media editors at the ministry in Putrajaya earlier on Wednesday. He underlined the media's vital role in communicating the government's reform efforts and change agenda to the public. The Prime Minister also confirmed that more details will be announced when he tables the fourth Madani budget this Friday. The upcoming budget is expected to focus on protecting the people, strengthening the economy, and laying stronger foundations for a sustainable, inclusive Malaysia. Efforts to reduce the fiscal deficit are expected to be the government's main priority in the 2026 budget. Plantation and Commodities Minister Datuk Seri Johari Abdul Ghani said the move is in line with the government's commitment to ensuring a sustainable fiscal position, particularly amid global economic uncertainty. According to Johari, the government must move forward and strike a balance in navigating global economic challenges driven by the United States tariff policies.
Jadi kita sebagai sebuah negara yang terlibat secara langsung dalam kita punya trade kan, kita negara yang terbuka. Jadi banyak benda-benda ini dia juga akan menjejaskan kita. Tapi dalam proses ini sebab tu kita apabila kerajaan buat bajet ni saya percaya saya pun tak ada berapa banyak dapat gambaran tapi saya tahu dia akan berdepan benda yang sama. Jadi ini adalah untuk kita mengimbangi sama ada kita nak terus ke hadapan.
The 2026 budget is scheduled to be tabled by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim this Friday. Reports show that Malaysia's cumulative fiscal deficit narrowed by 10.6% year-on-year to 49.4 billion ringgit as of August 2025. This indicates that the government is on track to achieve its full-year target of 80 billion ringgit or 3.8% of gross domestic product. Rising living costs and an aging population are putting pressure on Malaysia's safety nets. The 2026 budget is expected to strengthen social protection from retirement security to healthcare to better support Malaysians in times of need. Nightline's Nurin Razmin reports.
Rising costs and slowing growth have left many Malaysians hoping for a people-centered budget. But beyond short-term relief, the real measure will be whether it strengthens long-term resilience, ensuring every ringgit spent builds a more secure future.
Senior lecturer at Taylor's University, Paul Anthony Maria Das, said the government faces a tough balancing act between protecting households and building a more resilient economy. He added the success of the budget will depend on how well Putrajaya manages its subsidy reforms and communicates them to the public, especially as M40 households feel the pinch of inflation.
For B40, no worries because government gives help. And T20, of course, they are rich. So the struggling people here in the M40. Okay, so that's one, government must do something to help. And then in terms of the cash and so on, government must give or subsidize whatever to help them. So for me, I really think M40 is the one who really struggling at the moment.
Meanwhile, Putra Business School Associate Professor Ahmad Razman Abdul Latif stated that the Budget 2026 needs to ensure inclusive prosperity while shielding Malaysians from economic shocks. This can be done through fairer subsidies, higher wages and reducing income disparity, as well as more effective aid delivery.
Budget 2026 is being framed as the first under the 13 Malaysia plan. And I think the key theme we'll see is balance, a people-friendly budget that still tries to keep fiscal discipline in check. The government is under strong pressure to respond to cost of living issues. So we can expect expanded cash assistance, continuation of targeted subsidies, and perhaps more allocation for affordable housing or alternative of housing financing, and also to healthcare and education. These are areas that directly affect household welfare and help cushion lower and middle income Malaysians.
He added that beyond short-term relief, the budget must also drive Malaysia's economic transformation, pushing for digitalization, green growth, and higher productivity.
Now, in the public health sector, the Malaysian Medical Association is calling for stronger investment in doctor retention and primary care.
Its president, Datuk Dr. Thirunavu Karasuraju, warns that the system can no longer rely on short-term fixes, calling instead for stronger measures to stem doctor brain drain, enhance preventive healthcare, and substantially boost public healthcare spending.
With proper collaboration, we can reduce hospital congestion and improve access for patients. The government should do into clustering of GP clinics with the Klinik Kesihatan and also the public hospitals, so that there is a proper mechanism for the patient journey and also ensuring there's a continuity of care.
With social protection high on the agenda, the 2026 budget is expected to prioritize efforts to strengthen retirement security. Among the measures the government is focusing on are expanding employees' provident fund coverage to informal and gig workers, enhancing retirement adequacy, and introducing stronger incentives for voluntary contributions. Policymakers warn that without a more robust retirement safety net, the rising cost of living in old age could become unsustainable. EPF Chief Executive Officer Ahmad added that the strength of the nation's retirement system depends largely on how broad its coverage is.
Malaysia is aging very fast. So by 2048, 1 out of 7 Malaysians will be over 65. In terms of what we call coverage, we are at about, as a nation, 60% of people who work are covered by some form of retirement plan. So 50% with EPF, 10% through the civil service pension scheme. What that means is that there's a large portion, which is 40%, that's not covered by any retirement plan. We also set what we call the basic savings level that is deemed to be adequate, which we are raising gradually as well to 390,000 ringgit, which is what you need to save. So the idea is to give all Malaysians a number to target for.
However, many EPF members contribute irregularly, losing out on the power of compounding returns. The 2026 budget is expected to include fresh measures to nudge Malaysians into saving earlier and saving regularly.
Try to make choices which allow you to regularly save. I think that's important. And delay withdrawals. As the Malay saying says, sikit-sikit, lama-lama jadi bukit.
At its core, the 2026 budget isn't just about numbers, it's about the people. And every ringgit spent on relief must also build resilience for the future. In the end, the budget will test Malaysia's ability to balance growth and prosperity, ensuring a secure tomorrow. Nurin Razmin, TV3.
The 2026 budget is set to reshape the nation's future, from unlocking new revenue streams and driving investments, to easing the rising cost of living and strengthening social protection. Every move matters. Stay ahead with our exclusive pre-budget reports, October 6th to 9th, only on Nightline.
Drugs worth 13 million ringgit seized. More news on the local front after this break.
Tahun baru, aspirasi baru. Belanjawan 2026 bukan sekadar angka. Ia hala tuju kemakmuran yang inklusif untuk rakyat dan negara.
Berdepan cabaran dan ketidaktentuan global, tumpuan terarah kepada memperkukuh asas ekonomi dan mengangkat darjat hidup rakyat.
Bersama kami, memacu ekonomi madani, memperkasa rakyat.
Jumaat 10 Oktober jam 3 petang di TV3.
Unlocking the future of business.
From industry evolutions to policy changes, we go beyond the headline.
Deep insights, sharp analysis.
Understanding the forces driving tomorrow's economy.
Key financial insights that drive decisions.
This is Money Matters, every Saturday, 5 p.m.
Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Terbaru di Tonton.
Lelaki wajib jadi imam.
Oh, kau ni ingatlah, kau ni diva sangat. Aku lagi diva tau, aku diva.
Mak dia sendiri mengkhianati dia.
Saya bercinta dengan Lisa.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Sebab tiap kali saya lalu kan, mesti awak ada.
Muat turun dan layan Tonton sekarang. Favourite anda di sini.
Welcome back. All Border Control and Protection Agency officers stationed at manual immigration counters nationwide will now be required to wear body cameras. Home Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said the move is part of the government's technology-driven approach to curb the risk of countersetting activities at the country's entry points. In a written reply in Parliament, he said all manual travel document counters will also be monitored by smart CCTV systems equipped with AI-powered video analytics. The system will enable early detection of suspicious behavior, reducing the possibility of misconduct, and enhance integrity and accountability among officers. The minister further noted that automation, smart screening and reduced human intervention in border control processes will significantly minimize opportunities for corruption and abuse. He said these efforts are being implemented alongside disciplinary and preventive measures, which include closer scrutiny of asset declarations and the monitoring of officers' lifestyle. The swift interception of a multi-purpose vehicle by the police led to the discovery of an attempt to smuggle more than 385 kilograms of drugs in Slim River, Perak last Monday. The drugs worth nearly 13 million ringgit were seized by the Highway Patrol Unit of the Bukit Aman Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department. Perak Police Chief Datuk Nur Hisam Nordin said two men were spotted acting suspiciously inside the MPV along the southbound North-South Expressway at about 1:30 p.m. Upon realizing the presence of the patrol cars, the suspects attempted to flee by speeding away, leading to a 2-kilometer chase. The MPV eventually came to a stop and both suspects took off on foot into a nearby forested area. A search of the vehicle uncovered 15 sacks containing shabu, weighing an estimated 374 kilograms, and a black plastic bag containing 11.28 kilograms of a substance believed to be heroin base. The syndicate's modus operandi involved disguising the drugs as food products to evade detection by the authorities. The MPV driven by the suspects was found to be registered under a woman's name, and police are investigating her connection to the suspects. Efforts to track down the two men are still ongoing. Two 14-year-old students were injured after being hit by a car while crossing the road in front of a school at Jalan Sentul in the capital. Kuala Lumpur Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department Chief Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Zamzuri Muhammad Isa said the incident occurred at 11 a.m. last Thursday. The 30-year-old driver is believed to have failed to notice the traffic light turning red before hitting the victims. The impact threw the victims onto the road, causing leg injuries before they were taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act for careless driving and resulting in an accident. At least 24 killed in Buddhist festival bombing. The details when Nightline returns.
Kadang ia merah,
Kadang ia hitam kelap berduka. Tapi langit selalu menerima senja apa adanya.
Tahun baru, aspirasi baru. Belanjawan 2026 bukan sekadar angka. Ia hala tuju kemakmuran yang inklusif untuk rakyat dan negara.
Berdepan cabaran dan ketidaktentuan global, tumpuan terarah kepada memperkukuh asas ekonomi dan mengangkat darjat hidup rakyat.
Bersama kami, memacu ekonomi madani, memperkasa rakyat.
Jumaat 10 Oktober jam 3 petang di TV3.
Sorry. Kalau emang kamu mau mati lebih dulu, ya udah, nggak usah dengerin aku lagi.
Jangan nak ubah orang. Kalau orang nak berubah, dia akan ubah diri sendiri. So there's a lot of like psychological message.
Cinta seorang isteri, dia sanggup buat macam-macam demi husband and wife ni. So the concept tu very touching lah.
Antara kasih, sayang, cinta sejati, harapan, impian dan juga penyesalan, anda kena tonton filem ni, khususnya golongan wanita.
Aku Sore, isteri kamu dari masa depan.
Look, if you don't understand, this is all I have. I'm nothing without this suit.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it. Hey, Pedro.
तुम मेरी जिंदगी के बारे में जानते क्या? पति ने मारा है बॉयफ्रेंड ने?
पति ने
फ्रेंड, मॉम, मुझे आपसे प्राइवेटली कुछ बातें करनी है.
Welcome back to the Foreign Front. Talks to end the war in Gaza were taken up a notch on Wednesday, with the expected arrival of senior figures from Israel, the US and regional countries after Hamas handed over its list of hostages and Palestinian prisoners to be freed in a swap. With US President Donald Trump's 20-point plan now appearing closer than any previous effort to bringing an end to the fighting, delegations increased their presence at talks launched Monday at an Egyptian Red Sea resort. The list of Palestinians Hamas once freed is expected to include some of the most prominent prisoners ever jailed by Israel. Negotiations are focused on the mechanisms to halt the conflict, withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, and the swap deal. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, meanwhile, is expected to attend parallel talks in Paris with ministers from European and Arab states to discuss how to implement Trump's plan. Meanwhile, pro-Palestinian protesters around the world demonstrated against Israel's assault on Gaza on Tuesday. In the UK, students from several London universities held demonstrations in support of Gaza, defying Prime Minister Keir Starmer's remarks that pro-Palestinian protests on the anniversary of the attacks would be un-British. In Argentina, thousands of demonstrators filled the streets of Buenos Aires, calling for an end to Israel's military action in Gaza and urging greater international solidarity with the Palestinian people. And in Mexico, demonstrators marched peacefully through the capital, waving Palestinian flags and carrying placards calling for justice and solidarity with the people of Gaza. Activists and students also came together to denounce the war and urge their government to sever diplomatic ties with Israel. At least 24 people were killed and 47 wounded while protesting against Myanmar's military government at a Buddhist festival when an army paraglider dropped 2 bombs on the crowd. Around 100 people had gathered in the township of Chongyu for a national holiday when the attack took place on Monday evening. An official from the local People's Defense Force said they had received reports of a possible airborne attack during the gathering. They attempted to disperse the protest quickly, but the paramotors arrived sooner than expected. Locals said it was hard to identify the bodies in the aftermath. The candlelight vigil had been organized as a peaceful protest against the junta's military conscription and the upcoming national election. Switching to sport, badminton, the 2025 Arctic Open. The national shuttlers kicked off their Super 500 tournament campaign on a high note after advancing to the second round in Vantaa, Finland on Wednesday. Top men's doubles pair Aaron Chia So Woo-yik delivered a composed performance to overcome Denmark's Daniel Lundgaard Mats Vestergaard 21-18, 21-15 in just 37 minutes. The world number 2 duo will face compatriots Lo Hang Yi and Eng Cheong in an all-Malaysian clash in the second round. Also advancing to the second round were another men's doubles pair, Chung Hon Jian Muhammad Haikal Nazri, who pulled off a stunning upset after defeating Huang Di Liu Yang of China 23-21, 22-20. They will next face either Francis Eloi Adam Leo Rossi or Scotland's Christopher Matthew Grimley. Earlier, top women's doubles pair Perli Tan Emtina needed only 32 minutes to beat Denmark's Natasha P. Anthonyson, Emily Cecilie Kuds. Their win sets up a quarter-final clash against Indonesia's Febriana Dwi Kusuma, Melissa Trias Puspitasari. Turning to squash, the 2025 Open Squash Classic, national number 1 men's player Ng Yan Yeo delivered a masterclass performance to reach the semi-finals of the $74,000 tournament in New York on Wednesday. The world number 12 was made to work hard before defeating Colombia's Miguel Rodriguez 12-10, 11-9, 11-2 in the quarterfinals. The victory marked Yan Yeo's third win in 5 encounters with the world number 22 player. Up next, the 27-year-old will take on second seed Victor Kruang of France for a place in the final. Up this edition of Nightline. Before we leave, here's a look at Denmark's heaviest pumpkin of 2025, weighing an impressive 903.5 kilograms. Grown by Peter Holst Olsen, it earned him the winning title at the annual Tivoli Gardens competition in Copenhagen. With that, I'm Muhammed Hamdan. Thanks for watching and take care.